Regardless of your views on COVID-19 and the correct response to it, the fact remains that social distancing is the best way to fight this virus and the best way to keep others safe. And I don't know about you, but I like my grandpa, so I'm gonna stay home. But this means the reality for most of us is that we're gonna be stuck inside for the foreseeable future. So to assist you in your newfound life at home, I made this video to guide you through 19 games that will keep you occupied while you socially distance yourself. While creating this list, I tried to keep 4 criteria in mind, with games that earn all 4 earning the coveted Golden Potato Award. Why potato, you ask? Well, potatoes are versatile. They can be baked, mashed, cut up and fried, whipped, thrown, boiled, you get the idea. Why gold? Because good awards are gold. So the criteria. Games that are replayable. Games that have tons of content. Games that can be enjoyed with your friends. Games that will help you think, laugh, and cope. Watch on the side of the screen for the appropriate markers matching these criteria to help you decide which games are right for you. Finally, and this is the last note before we start the list, while the virus is a great excuse to catch up on Netflix and bust through your backlog, there's never been a better time to think about learning new skills, like for me, graphic design. For you, maybe it's video editing, or maybe reading those books you've been talking about reading for the last 2 years. They've been on that shelf for a long time, Chris. And there's never been a better time to consider others around you in your communities and neighborhoods. This is a great time to reach out to others over the phone, in a hazmat suit, or through Messenger, just to ask them how they're doing and if they need anything. Now, without further ado, my list of 19 games to get you through coronavirus. If you know me personally, you knew this would be on the list. Rainbow Six Siege is one of the most enjoyable and innovative first-person shooters on the market. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it here because you can instead watch my video titled "You Should Play Rainbow Six Siege" instead. If you're looking for a competitive game to get good at, and you have the time to do it now, there's never been a better option than Siege. If you like fine-tuning a very specific build, slow, Dark Souls-like style combat, and grinding materials and rare drops, Monster Hunter World is for you. It puts you face to face with over 31 monsters, 14 completely different weapons, and 5 unique biomes. You can't skip cutscenes, which is a bummer, but you can kill huge monsters and take their parts to build awesome weapons and armor, only to repeat that process again and again. And it doesn't get old. Even though the base game has tons of content, you can grab Iceborne, which I've personally dubbed the best expansion I've ever played ever. Seriously, there's so much new things, monsters. The gameplay loop is switched up a bit, new weapons, new biome. It's really, really awesome. What makes Monster Hunter World even better is that you can queue with friends, which makes getting good and yelling at your buddy for getting carded by an Anjanath all the sweeter. This one is sort of cheating, but you could pick up the entire Dark Souls trilogy. Dark Souls has a storied history, and it's not for everyone, but I've never played a series that's engaged me as much as this series has and kept me coming back year after year. I'm serious, sometimes I think the only reason I don't get to play as many new games every year because I'm always going back to replay this trilogy. Last year, for example, I finally broke down and I 100%ed Dark Souls 2, 3, and also Bloodborne and Sekiro, both from Software games. I'll probably do a video on why you should play Dark Souls at some point, but for now, I just want you to know this series reinvigorated my love for gaming. Plus, once you beat one of them, it's always fun to go back through it on New Game Plus to see how fast you can finish it, or try again with a new build that's not double rapiers. Aside from unironically playing Plague Inc., what other game could be played in a more surreal fashion than Animal Crossing New Horizons? Our world is in crisis, and in the same month, Nintendo is dropping frickin' Tom Nook into our hands, giving us a personal island with weird little animal friends, dopey bugs, and cool coconuts. Isn't that bizarre timing? I can't think of a more relaxing and escapist game. Couldn't have released at a better time, so I'm super excited. Wuppo is a sort of Paper Mario style platformer RPG. In Wuppo, you play as a lazy bum Wum who is exiled from the Wum house, and you must go in search of a new home. Each character you meet along the way is memorable, plus you'll be finding new weapons and collecting cash as you go. It's a quirky game with excellent writing and good humor, and most importantly, it doesn't take itself very seriously. It honestly feels like one of the most perfect games you could be playing at this time. To me, it's a little unknown gem. Jackbox Party Pack is a great excuse to hang out with your buddies in the digital realm. If you haven't played Jackbox Party Pack, each game contains 4 to 5 party games that are played from each person's smartphone. In Murder Trivia Party, you'll answer niche trivia questions to survive a murder house. In Quiplash, each player is prompted and must come up with a witty response, then compete anonymously against other players' responses. Then all your friends vote on the funniest quip. Later games include variations of older Jackbox games, and robots rapping against each other. There are currently 6 Jackbox Party Packs to choose from, and the best way to enjoy these, since you can't be on the couch, is to have one person buy it and then they'll stream it so everyone else can join in and have fun. Ultimate Chicken Horse is a party platformer where you and your friends create the traps and the platforms. This will sometimes mean you're slipping on ice and getting stuck on glue, and other times dodging 900 hockey pucks, paper airplanes, and arrows. To me, it's one of the most brilliant and hilarious virtual couch co-op games I can think of. And it gives you plenty of opportunities to giggle quietly while waiting for the last player to slowly run through the death gauntlet, only to get sucked into a black hole. It would be a travesty to talk about virtual couch co-op games without talking about my favorite try-hard virtual couch co-op game, Speedrunners. I think this is an older one, but Speedrunners lets you race your friends at top speeds with Mario Kart style weapons. The objective is to learn the map and run it with well-timed jumps and grappling hooks, while avoiding obstacles and attacks from other players. The longer the match goes on, the smaller the screen shrinks, which keeps each round fresh and exciting. If you like competitive games with tight platforming controls, Speedrunners is a great option for you. I haven't played Path of Exile in a while, but I have played Titan Quest recently. And when I played Titan Quest, I wished I was instead playing Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a historically praised Diablo-like game that's also free to play. I've included this game on the list because it seems like the kind of game you can sink a lot of hours into, and you don't need to spend cash up front to do so. If you love the grind of ARPGs and you love slaying monsters and undead, look no further. This game and the next on the list are 2 fine examples of how to do free-to-play right. You probably guessed I was going to bring up Warframe after Path of Exile, and it's for a good reason. Warframe is available on all major platforms and offers tons and tons of content and customization. Like Path of Exile, or perhaps like Destiny 2, Warframe gives you the opportunity to pick a sweet weapon and grind away to your heart's content. I spent some time with Destiny 2, and it didn't hook me, I didn't really get it, I didn't like it, but time that I've spent with Warframe has always been super fun. I put maybe a dozen hours into Warframe, so from my experience, it might be a good idea for you to find an up-to-date guide to getting started. There's a lot going on, so any help for a new player will be welcome. Next, I wanted to get away from the stock answers of grindy free-to-play games and talk about one of my obsessions outside of video gaming, and that is tabletop gaming. Listen, I'm not talking about buying Monopoly on Switch, I'm not even talking about Catan. Catan's okay, but I'm talking about taking this chance to dive deep into the wide world of modern hobby board gaming. I'm talking Terra Mystica, I'm talking Root, I'm talking Codenames, Seven Wonders Duel, Blood Rage, Race for the Galaxy. The list goes on. Now I know what you're thinking, okay, but I'm not supposed to be around people. Well, let's talk about Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia. These are 2 great ways to play board games online with your friends. I personally recommend Tabletop Simulator solely because there are hundreds and hundreds of amazing board games available for free right at your fingertips if you download them from the Steam Workshop. Now, I get it. Board games might not be your thing, you're going to have to learn the rules to each game, but to me, few things are as satisfying as learning a rewarding board game like Terraforming Mars, a game where you colonize Mars and you increase the oxygen, the temperature, put down oceans, all to make Mars livable. Super fun. Which leads me to my next and current tabletop obsession, Dungeons & Dragons. There are so many great role-playing games out there aside from D&D 5th edition, but 5th edition has set the standard for easy to learn but incredibly fun to master and to play. If you're interested in learning a new hobby while staying home this year, playing an RPG with your friends, digitally, might be just what you're looking for. If you're intimidated by being the game master, check out Matt Colville's YouTube channel. This dude inspired me to be a dungeon master, set my fears at ease. He's got an incredible amount of content, and there's so much you can learn from his stuff. Running D&D doesn't have to be a scary thing. If you can get your friends to play with you, they'll all thank you for the experience. All you need to get started is to pick up probably a digital version of the starter set on D&D Beyond, and you're set. You can play on a virtual tabletop like Roll20 and communicate over Discord. It's so simple to get started, and you don't even need to worry about knowing all the rules. While we're on the topic of tabletop games, let's talk about Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is a roguelike deck building game where you pick one of 4 characters, each with a unique set of cards and artifacts. Your objective is to clear all 3 dungeons inside the Spire while constructing a synergistic deck of cards and collecting those artifacts that help as well, earned by each fight you win as you traverse the Spire. With hundreds of card combinations, ridiculous events, gobs of baddies with unique attack patterns, and an Ascension mode with 21 levels of variables, Slay the Spire provides endless challenge and big brain deck building. I'm not sure how many runs I've done, but every time I lose, I weigh my next card choices and the path I choose more carefully. It's a great game to play and constantly improve at. Musou games have been around for a long time. I'm talking about Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors. I've played a lot of them, but none of them have grabbed me quite like Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. This game has everything. A huge squad of unlockable Zelda characters, unique weapons, a bland storyline, but the main draw is 9 adventure modes with hundreds of hours of gameplay. Most of the time when I go back to a game I haven't played in a while, I like to restart so I remember what's going on. You don't do that with Hyrule Warriors. This game is so easy to pick up. You straight up pick a character, go into the match, and just pound your controller until all the bad guys are dead. It's seriously so relaxing and enjoyable. Now we've reached the survival crafting portion of the video, and no recommendation list would be complete without obviously recommending the original survival crafting game. Somehow, Minecraft continues to reinvent itself. I mean, when Rainbow Six streamers that I usually watch are playing Minecraft while waiting for the new season to launch, that's saying something. Honestly, there isn't much to say you don't already know. You can't fix what ain't broken. If you started a server today with some friends, imagine the amazing crap you could build in just a month's time. For my other survival crafting recommendation, Subnautica will be on most lists that I put together because few games have engaged me as deeply as it has. In some way, I feel like I can't even talk about this game because Joseph Anderson already did it better than I could in his video. I'll leave the link in the description. Subnautica drops you into solitude on an alien planet, leaving you to fend for yourself with basically nothing. The game starts and shows you the most existentially dreadful thing I've ever seen in a game, an ocean that you can't see through. But to start the game, you have to jump into the water. It's quite the statement. And once you're in, you've got to explore deeper and deeper toward the core of the planet to find everything you'll need to escape. Subnautica is both horror and excitement at the same time. It fills you with dread and immerses you in gut-wrenching terror, but it also provides so much peace and satisfaction. Since we're talking about horror, it's worth discussing a game that might give you heebie-jeebies if you're up for it. As mentioned, a lot of us will be staying home and using technology much more frequently, so what better way to psych yourself out than play a game where you play the role of an officer, listening into others' phone calls and reading their texts and emails, also similar to the classic 1984, where the game gets its namesake. It's both a murder mystery and a cautious Black Mirror-style look into our not-so-distant future. While you're at home scrolling social media, you'll probably think about Orwell again from time to time. And now to jump to the other end of the spectrum. Celeste is a simultaneously heartbreaking and heartwarming game about a young woman's journey to climb a mountain while dealing with her own demons and conquering her fear and depression. This game is hugely memorable and close to me because of hardship in my life when my stepdad passed from cancer a few years ago. In and out of dealing with those difficult times, I spent a good amount of time playing Celeste. It can be a simple platformer, or it can be a soul-crushingly difficult experience depending on how you tweak the settings. It holds a special place in my heart. It reminds me of how well people cared for me and my family in tough times. Those songs and themes in Celeste are dear to me, and hopefully in the tough times ahead, it can create a place for you too. And finally, I've got to talk about it. The game that made me say, okay, maybe I slightly understand this visual novel thing. The game that made me say, okay, JRPGs that aren't Final Fantasy can also be fun. The game that let me say, yo, let me eat that cheeseburger. If you see coronavirus and you see these memes and you say, wow, this is me, then you will probably love the fact that you can make friends in Persona 5 without having to make real friends in real life. Know what I'm saying? This game's all about relationships, caring for people, fighting weird monsters that make me feel uncomfortable, and being transparent about who you are and how you're built. I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy the dungeons in Persona 5 that much, but I was dying to resolve the story. I can't remember the last time I put 80 hours into a game before I completed it and enjoyed it the entire way through. And that's another reason Persona 5 would be a great investment while you're at home. Persona 5 Royal drops later this month, which is like an essential edition of the game with extra content and like a whole slew of new stuff. So if you are interested, I would probably wait for that to come out. And that's it. That's the list. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you like these recommendations, please like and subscribe. If you think you have a better list, let me know in the comments what I missed. Thanks for watching.